Welcome to Mitten Music.
Season 4, Raw, Live, and Authentic. Episode 14, with the indie pop singer-songwriter Daisybox from West Michigan. Daisybox, welcome.
And
Hello.
if you just Google Daisybox, you're just going to get a bunch of coffins and caskets and dead stuff, which I love, by the way.
Really matches the vibe for sure.
Well, I mean, not at all, but like I love it when, and I'm just going to come out the gate. I love it when the sound doesn't necessarily match the visuals in the context of I've only heard a couple of your songs, right? You have a few out there.
Yeah.
It's cool. You describe it one way. I describe it like chill indie singer-songwriter, that vibe. In your you have a song called Ghost. Cool. Ghosts are cool as shit.
Yeah.
And the art for it is awesome. It's like, yeah, it's some weird freaking dude with like four eyes, half melt in the face with his like
creature.
Yeah, this creature with this like mountain of a home on his back, or what? I'm not even looking at it. I'm just going off what I remember. And I'm like, dude, This is awesome.
Yeah, that was super cool. I actually got a hold of Nathan Hartman. He has an Instagram called Chapel of Ghouls. That's it right there.
There it is.
That's it. It was on his head. That's right.
But if you like
Chapel
this
of
artwork,
Ghouls.
he's got a ton of art that's just like this.
I absolutely.
And,
I'm going to check that out. What was his name?
Chapel of Ghouls on Instagram.
Oh.
It's Nicholas Hartman. He's out of Grand Rapids.
You know, someone else mentioned him recently because I have that on my notes already.
Super cool.
Chapel of Ghouls.
So
Dang, I'll have
neat.
to find out. Yeah, that's awesome. I will retroactively go see who we also mentioned Chapel of Ghouls, and I'll make sure I go buy some art from that dude.
Absolutely. I recommend it.
Cool.
It. He's great.
Thank you. That's awesome.
And that's your latest song that was released, right?
Yep. Yeah. Back in October. And yeah, that song took forever to get to a point where I wanted to record it. It just took so many different avenues.
So what's that song about again? By the way, for folks, Ryan and I saw Daisybox live at the Stray. What's that been about a month or so ago?
Yeah,
It was Rebecca John, Daisybox, and am I blanking? Who the other folks? But anyway,
yeah,
that was a good show. Enjoyed it, and we heard Ghost live there. It was really really great. But what's that song about?
Yeah. So when I saw that artist Chapel of Ghouls, when I had written the song, I had actually started to stumble across his art, and I knew right away that was going to be the guy to do the artwork. But it really is. I'm sure this theme has been done before, but it's the idea that your mind can be a haunted house, and your anxiety and those kind of silent insecurities can be, kind of haunting you. And that was really the whole idea. It's just like, how do you paint, some sort of haunting? And that's why the sound really wanted to be kind of ghostly and a haunting sound. So we really leaned into that idea.
Yeah, it was awesome. I love that song. It's great.
So, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys, supporting it and putting it out there.
What was cool is I don't know, maybe this isn't cool for you, but I purposely did not listen to you before I saw you at the Stray, because there's very few times that gets to happen where I recognize the name and I have yet to listen to their music and I know they're going to play live. I want to go see them live first. And I'm so glad I did, because if you only have heard your studio music, what you did live was different. It was more acoustic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I got your vibe really well then live. And then I went to listen to it and I was like, oh, he just expanded on everything. And the songs are great. And they sound fantastic. There's a whole production.
Thank you.
So yeah, I just felt like that. It's not often, at least for myself, I get to connect with someone like that. So it was kind of purposeful a little bit. Like if maybe Jeff like finds a band in Michigan that they're newer or I've never heard of them or whatever, and we get them on, I'll like I'm purposely waiting until like the day of to listen to. It's all fresh in my mind, unless I can see him live. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
just cool.
It definitely, I almost think that people get an impression from the live show, and then they're like really thrown off
Yeah,
by the studio version. But you know, it's kind of fun because that is where each one of those songs start.
it,
It's me on an acoustic. Yeah, I try to build it so that, yeah, I feel like the best songs can be good with nothing else except an acoustic. You know,
yeah,
and if it's a strong chord progression, it's something that can transfer to any instrument. But I'm definitely like a piano player, synth player first. That's what I
Okay.
feel strongest on, and so I feel like that's where I get to really expand on my music, is where I can come up with all these other directions that may not have been able to be, you know, put out there as well with just a full production right out the gate.
yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I think we talked to you a little bit about that at the Stray. Uh, I think Ryan, you brought this up. Like, I could totally hear this song being a full
Yeah,
band behind you, right? And I think you mentioned that you've kind of got that in your head that if you do have a band backing you up, that this would work well.
yeah, yeah. You did say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up playing drums in rock bands and um, that kind of stuff. And I feel like I almost write, especially on the acoustic, from a rhythmic perspective first. And that really kind of, it points out what the drums are supposed to be right from the beginning. And then if you build off of that, then all the other stuff kind of fits in around that. So I want it to feel driving and like a complete rhythmically section, even with
Mhm.
just an acoustic. So I play a lot in alternate tunings, and a lot of like drop D and stuff like that was where I picked up guitar. And for me, the low end uh, allows me to kind of have like that kick driving side of things, and then the higher end on the guitar ends up being more melodic.
I
So
love
you
to
mentioned
hear.
you had played in other rock bands earlier. So yeah, how did this project come about? I know it's relatively new as far as the music being released, right? Um, so what is kind of your history and how you got to this point?
Yeah, so I grew up in church, and my mom and dad both played music, and I grew up just playing drums to whatever they were playing at the time. Kind of got me comfortable being in front of people as a young kid, and then I knew after a while I was like, I really want to play rock music. All of my favorite bands and stuff like that were pop punk and things like that. So I always had it in my mind that's where I would end up. And
Mhm.
so I played in bands like that throughout high school. And then went kind of back to my roots, worked in the church as like a music director, and did all that from like after transferring from playing in rock bands and stuff like that. I wanted to be a frontman, started writing my own songs, messed around on the piano, learned what drop D was. So it changed my life. And
Yeah.
just really opened up and made the guitar so much more accessible.
Well, let's talk about what you got coming out. You know, you've been releasing some different songs. It sounds like when we were chatting before that you've got something new, one or two things maybe in the works and ready to release here soon.
I started writing in this song group on Facebook. Someone had invited me to, and they would put out one word for the month. And you had
Hmm.
that month to come up with a song that wasn't necessarily about that word, but it incorporated it. It could be the meaning, but it also
Somehow.
could just be one word in the entire song.
Gotcha.
And a word came up, tangled. And
Ooh.
I have the video of me just playing this song on the acoustic and just really starting to iron out like what that song was going to look like. And it started to feel like a real song. Sometimes you do stuff like that and it just doesn't really last. You get it out of the way to make the
Yeah.
prompt happen, but it's not going to be a song I'll ever play again.
Yeah.
And this was just happened to be a good one. And that song ended up being called Sick. And I was able to go and record that January, February. Um, and
Ooh.
when I started building the demo out for that, basically that process is acoustic, and then I'll program drums, lay down like synth bass, and then build other sounds around it with like a scratch vocal. Um, and so I built all that out. Typically, up until now, those drums end up going back into the studio, and I'll play the drums live as a session, and it becomes more of a rock tune or like a pop rock sound. And this time around, I just felt like, let's go for this year, 2025. Let's do some pop music. So I got fully produced drums instead, and we used the entire demo and shaped the sounds, made sure that they were a little bit fuller. But this was one of the first songs where the whole song was birthed off of that actual demo, and the drums we just improved, gave them better sounds and a little bit more shaping. With I have a great sound engineer and producer, Jake Rye, who really helps me take a song that's good and then on the production level push it up a much
Yeah.
higher level, and it comes out really good. So all these new songs that are coming out are much more pop driven.
Okay.
Do you have as you, I want to say 2020, did you take on the name Daisybox and release from there? Do you
Yeah.
have like a bank of songs that you're sitting on, or do you kind of, you write them, work on them, release them as you go? Or is it just still new enough where you're kind of figuring it out?
You know, it's funny. I definitely have a bank of songs that are done, and sometimes I'll still play those live, especially if it's going to be a long set. Um,
Mhm.
some of those songs may not ever be recorded, but then I also have like 30, 40 songs that are just like either just a chord progression, just me playing the guitar, haven't written any lyrics, or I've got a chorus, but I haven't built any verses out or anything like that. And every once in a while, I'll go back and I'll scroll through those, and something's like,
Hmm.
why didn't I think that was cool? I don't know what I
Yeah.
was thinking.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I'll write out a full progression and try to finish up some lyrics and stuff like that. At least something that I can lay down.
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes right in. Like with this song "Sick," that was done. You know, the whole structure of the song, all those verses and stuff were written. And when I went to build out the demo, it didn't really change much. We messed around with the arrangement a little bit, but the actual song itself didn't change. And so with what I try to do though is, if I don't even have the lyrics done, I'll just get something on there, and then sometimes somewhere in the production, a certain sound, a certain melody will pop up, and I'll completely rewrite the lyrics of a certain
Mhm.
section of the song,
Mhm.
and allow that to kind of shape it too. So it's not always the exact same process,
Sure.
but I
Mhm.
definitely feel like that helps me come to a complete idea.
Cool. Yeah. I dig it.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a slightly related question, but you mentioned, sometimes you'll create a song, like you said, with these workshops or whatever, it comes along, and then you're just like, it's not going to work. I mean, what's the percentage where you have these things that you just kind of start a song and then you're just like, that's not, just throw it, it's like gone. Like it's never coming back type of thing, versus you, like you said, you're taking pieces of something or some structure. How often are you just like, this thing's, I'm tossing it. It just doesn't work.
I try to allow myself to find that headspace of being receptive to ideas, and not trying to be too harsh on an idea, because
Okay.
it can definitely change. I mean, I had songs that, like Ghost, honestly, I went back and forth of liking that song.
Mm.
It's too long, the choruses are too long, the verses are too long, and I like to cut things down a lot and make sure I'm trimming the fat. But that song was just a story, and it came out much different than a lot of my other songs. And I played that song live for like 2.5 years before I actually went in, wrote out a whole demo, and then went into the studio with it. So I would say, you know, some of them I'll go back and listen to, and I still don't like it. I'm just like, nah, that song's, I'm not even going to play that live. But then sometimes I'll revisit that, and it becomes like potential, and then I can build off of that. But usually if I'm going to go record a song, it's something that I have already really felt comfortable about, and I know the direction that I want it to go on the production side. And that really allows me to kind of, you know, inform like if this is good enough, if this is going to be ready to be put out. But yeah, it's definitely like I have way more songs that are unfinished and may never see the light of day than I do have ready to go out the gate.
Yeah. As far as the Sick, where'd you record that?
Yeah, so that was at Social Recording with Jake Rye. And I have worked with him since I was like 15.
Wow.
Yeah, I was on MySpace. I had a band at the time called Oh the Irony, which it sounds so corny to me now.
I like it though.
But yeah, I was trying to write some stuff for that. And this was like MySpace days. And I got hit up by this woman who was with Catapult Entertainment. And she told me, someone had told me about Jake, and I had been hearing some of the stuff he was doing. I was like, wow, this is way better than what I'm recording on my Tascam, you know?
Yeah.
And I knew that eventually, like, I wanted to have something that sounded radio quality. And so I knew about him, and this one was like, hey, we're going to get you some recording time. We'll actually go to them. They'll own the rights, and then they'll record it for free. But then as you get your plays up, you know, we can pay them back. And I was like 15. So I was like, sounds great. Let's do it. So she reached out to Jake for me on my behalf.
Oh, okay.
And I get a call from Jake separately, and he goes, dude, I'll do this for like $400 for you just to be nice. But you don't need to do this because I think this woman is trying to scam you.
Yeah.
And she was. Yeah, it was a total
Fair.
scam. We didn't give her any money, luckily. But he let me come in. I recorded my first song with him. And we've just stayed in touch, you know, for a lot of years. And he's almost like I've known him for over half my life. And it's so strange that we're still doing stuff like this together. But he's been a mentor, and I've recorded all my songs with Jake so far.
Sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool that you,
cool.
if been with him or come back and forth with him over the years. And just a note, like you had mentioned before the show, like he has his studio had a fire, and so he's in the process of rebuilding that. And that's super bummer. A great guy, it sounds like, too. And those things that happen. But
yeah, super nice guy, and you know, incredibly talented. Had opened up that commercial space like a year and a half ago or something like that. So really had a lot of stuff picking up. And then unfortunately, you know, it's an older building, and they had apartments above, and there was some sort of electrical fire or something like that. So he was able to do a GoFundMe, though. They raised a bunch of money, and I think you know, he's going to be able to fix up his stuff and get a new space. But also they raised extra money for the families that were displaced in that too. So
in the building.
It just goes to show, like, even at his darkest moment, he's looking out for other people, just like he was looking out for me when I was a teenager.
Did he lose recordings? Does he have to re-record a bunch of stuff?
No, luckily he had everything on his laptop as well, and then had those like titanium like hard drives or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he had it all on there. So all the music is
good.
safe.
Yeah, seriously.
Smart guy.
Good. Oh man, for sure. Well, yeah, good luck to him.
No, that's kind of delaying the process. I think the release. Right. So sometime later, a little bit later this year, you're going to be having Sick come out. So people should look out for that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm hoping before the summer, or maybe towards the little after the beginning of summer, at least to get something out there. And then the goal is to have like a new release every 2 months or so.
Okay.
To try to
Cool.
crack the algorithm and see if we can get some more streams and just put out more. I mean, I've just gotten to a place now where in my life that I can have this uber expensive hobby that's like it's the only
Right.
thing I spend any extra money on is just go record.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure that I can put more out and try to stay in people's mind, you know?
Yeah.
Heck
Yeah. That's cool. And then, are you going to be out performing? And what's that look like right now for the rest of the year?
Yeah. So, you know, right now, I'm a family man. I got a very, very busy job as well. And so last year I was doing like 2 or 3 shows a month. And one night I found myself in Saginaw, like 3.5 hours away from my house on a Saturday, playing to nobody, like nobody's out there.
Yeah.
And of course, you're getting paid based off of what they get on doors. And I get to the end, and it's like, all right, we got $25 to split between 3 bands.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, it's just me, you know, like, just don't even bother. Like, hook them up. Hopefully, you can help them get some gas or something like that.
$12.50 each.
Peace.
Jeez.
And I kind of got to the point where I was like, I love writing. I love creating the production and releasing music. I love playing live too, but I'm going to be a lot more choosy about where I play. Like, you know, the Stray in Grand Rapids, which is honestly low key one of the best venues in Southwest Michigan, if not the best. I mean, it's
cool.
They got some incredible music coming out of there. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
The sound quality is awesome. And the big thing I learned by playing a bunch of shows is like when you're doing this acoustic act, when you're just by yourself, you know, you're not going to have the energy that's coming from like a full band where you can draw people in with just that. So what's unique about a show like The Stray is going to be a listening room experience where they tell everybody like, hey, we're dialing in to hear this artist. And I think stuff like that is a little bit more where I feel comfortable because it feels like I've played so many shows where I'm just like singing my heart out, like trying not to cry. And then there's just people like arguing at the bar, you know?
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
It's like, I don't do a lot of covers. I'm not doing any of the things that you should do to like win people over who know nothing about you.
Right.
And so, you know, for me at this point, this is for the love of making music. And I'm not necessarily trying to build a tour right now. You know, I mean, if something happens and this becomes the option of like, I can actually support my family and play music, that's what I'm all about. But right now, I just love creating music. So not a ton of shows, but I am going to play in May in this little town I live in, Gobles. Andy Baker. He's another artist, and I was playing with him one night at the Stray, and we realized we live in the same town, and he's like the veterinarian in our town.
What?
And I was like, well, what the heck? I had no idea. And he hosts shows out of his business in the basement. And so I'm going to go play a show over there.
Heck yeah.
And then I got a couple like private events and stuff that I'll play in the summer that are just like backyard festivals that our friends put on with like a couple hundred people or something like that.
Yeah.
So nothing too heavy.
That's awesome. No, that's cool though. I like it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's great that you've got kind of okay, this is what I want to be able to do. And I'm not going to just go play just to play and make sure it's worthwhile. And like you said, if you're enjoying creating the music right now and the opportunities to play and, you know, push more ticket sales and all that stuff, it's different. But
for sure.
It just goes to show people got to get out though and go listen to the music, guys. Like go to a show.
Even if you live in Gobles, you can go down the street to the vet clinic. Check out Daisybox. Oh yeah. Good stuff. Well, thank you for all the time and thank you for the great music. And we're just lucky enough that we got to catch 2 different flavors of some of your songs. Checking it out live, checking it out on all the other streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Where do you prefer people check you out at? Where do you feel you're most active?
I don't know if this is like controversial for musicians because I know they're not perfect, but right now I would love to get those streams up on Spotify to try to catch some of those editorial playlists. And so I think that would help a lot as far as expanding the audience.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm not making, a bunch of money off of streams either
Right.
way.
Yeah.
No matter where you listen. But Apple is great as well. Really anywhere you like to listen, I'm cool. I do feel like getting those streams up on Spotify allow you to get playlisting that's going to help grow your audience, a lot faster. So
For sure.
yeah.
Cool. Good stuff.
But yeah, I was going to say too, if you like the acoustic set, I did do a video session with Dogtown Studio out of Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
And I did put those live acoustic tracks out too, like 3 songs that we did. Me and a guy named John Hayes, great artist.
Oh, yeah.
He also
John's
puts
great.
music out. Yeah,
Cool.
John is amazing. He's incredible vocalist and guitar player. But yeah, so that's all out there too. And you can hear a song called Lake Effect, Pressure, and Ghost. And they're all acoustic versions of songs I have released. So you can hear the contrast. Yeah.
That's cool for sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Robbie's cool over there at Dogtown. So
really, I mean, so cool. And that whole studio, like when you watch the videos, it feels like this huge room. He does so much with his space that you would never know that, that's just like a loft.
Those one take shots, man, just running all over the room. That's cool. It's so cool. I think it's a riot. I love what he does. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. They all look great.
Awesome. Everybody check out Daisybox.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Peace.
If you like this episode, check out all of our episodes on your favorite streaming platform,
or even our website, themittenmusic.com.
or if you want short clips of our episodes, check out our socials.
We got Facebook,
We have Instagram,
we got TikTok,
and YouTube.
we're all over the social media game.
Make sure to check out some live Michigan music or listen on your favorite streaming platform.